Cosmic laws, attraction and repulsion. What is the one cosmic law that can explain all the following diverse phenomena? A plant seed's ability always to send its first root growing down and its shoot growing upward. How birds, porpoises, and other animals orient themselves when they migrate. Why liquids are liquids and solids remain solids. Why the elements of our body behave the way that they do. Some stick together, some move around. Some are exchanged with our environment so that we can live and breathe. All of these and other behaviors where force or energy is involved have at least one thing in common: the activity of the divine law of attraction and repulsion. Gravity is an attractive force possessed by every material body, whether it be a planet or a mote of dust. The Earth's gravity causes starch crystals to be pulled to the bottom of root cells of sprouting plant seeds. This causes a growth hormone to be distributed within the root of a newly germinated seed, so that it grows towards the center of the earth. Known as geotropism, this directional growth is universal among terrestrial plants. Animal migration is influenced by another force of nature that all forms of matter possess: magnetism. Scientists believe that tiny iron oxide crystals in near-brain tissues of birds align themselves north and south with the Earth's magnetic field, causing the appropriate neurons to fire so the birds can navigate to their intended destination. Electrical forces, both attractive and repulsive, are responsible for the different states of matter, gas, liquid, solid. Depending on the temperature and pressure of the environment, when mutual attraction between atomic elements, van der Waals forces, ionic, covalent, and hydrogen bonds, etc., is weak, gases form. When it is strong, atoms and molecules form into solids. When the polar forces of attraction and repulsion are in the mid-range, liquids exist. Attractive and repulsive electrical forces also are responsible for all the metabolic process in our body. Without this law, our anatomy and physiology would not be the same. Sight, hearing, touch, speech, and all pushing or pulling actions involving electrical or electromagnetic forces under the direct rule of the divine law of attraction and repulsion. Any power whose action causes a drawing toward comes under the definition of attraction. Attraction is the inherent tendency in all things to approach each other, to unite, and to resist separation. Think of all the contexts in which you have heard these synonyms for attraction: inviting, alluring, engaging, attachment, dependence, affinity, desirable, tempting, bonding, captivating, cohesion, seduction, magnetic, and enthralling. At the other pole of this law, repulsion is the act of repelling, or the state of being repelled, or being pushed away from. It could be a strong dislike, distaste, aversion, or repugnance to something. But not all synonyms of repulsion imply a revulsive or offensive quality. Think of these synonyms in the light of preventing harm from occurring, say, to our children: refusing, discouraging, declining, rejecting, and detaching. One of the significant aspects about this cosmic law is found in the definition of repulsion. It states that repulsion is the mutual action by which things tend to repel each other. This is also true about attraction. It takes two to repel and two to attract. The whole truth, however, is that attraction and repulsion work together in mutual action. Although its name implies polarity, it is one single law. When one side of this law is put into effect, simultaneously the other side is also. For example, a person moving one step to the north not only draws one step toward the North Pole, he regresses one step away from the South Pole. The principle of attraction and repulsion clearly exhibits that a single action, that is, a single cause, always has more than one effect. Additionally, at least two of the effects will be diametrically opposed to one another. In a channeling in March 14, 1962, John Mark explains attractive and repulsive forces. Do you not see that as you are raised to higher consciousness, as you feel greater love, understanding, and feel a sense of rapport with the various levels of Christ's kingdom, these levels and forms then are magnetically attracted to you for further love and further cohesion. So it is with those of a lower understanding. Those forms, those creations which cannot be compatible to a Christ understanding and a Christ love that is developing within you, then are repelled by the vibrational frequency which you emit. It is like a perfume that comes from within you. Therefore you also take the responsibility of this rejection. You must take within you the responsibility that your state and level of consciousness has pushed away certain forces and elements which would otherwise be part of your existence, your understanding, and your thoughts. All is one. Nothing in God's creation is separated. But you cannot be part of all, and you are not all. But you will, as you rise into the higher states of consciousness, be part of that equal level of consciousness in all other things, and be rejected from those which are of an incompatible set of vibrational frequencies. This applies not only to your physical, visible world, as you know it in the third-dimensional world, but it also applies to your invisible, fourth-dimensional world. It always has. Spirit's power in heaven and on earth always has this mutual action. This universal principle gives divine energy magnitude and direction. In man's case, when we love, we attract more love. The more loving we think, feel, and act, the more love accumulates within us. As a result, our attractive power of love grows stronger. In essence, we become love. This also means that by the law of attraction and repulsion, our life is being repelled by hate, jealousy, retaliation, and other error patterns. The desire to commit error is lessened by the same measure that we desire to love. There is no reason to struggle with error patterns within ourselves when, by working on our ability to love, automatically and permanently we repel evil. This one explanation for Jesus' admonishment not to resist evil. He understood God's law of attraction and repulsion. Man's misunderstanding or misuse of this law has produced serious consequences. As Archangel Chamuel explained on October 26, 1971, it has been millions of years since the fall or the descent into matter by man, attracted by the selfishness, the self-love of his desire to express for himself, to try evolution for himself, to flex his spiritual powers in his own way and for his own purpose and for his own selfish reasons. He saw, he knew, he felt the powers of the Spirit within him, and decided to experience them for himself and for his own advantages. Man, who was attracted to this area because of the opportunities to conquer, to express, and to show power over other and lesser forms, became entrapped by the very form he helped create or helped inaugurate. Desire is a form of attraction. Selfish desire is attraction directed toward oneself and away from others. It can accumulate and become so intense that it can prevent us from loving others and sharing our lives and knowledge with them. We become like a human black hole from which Spirit's light within us cannot escape to help those in need. Indeed, through selfishness we have drawn ourselves into a dimension of life whose lower vibrational frequency we never were intended to inhabit physically. Mankind is a race of spiritual beings whose true home is in the etheric realms, functioning in the light body. Our eternal residence is not in physical embodiment associated with the animal kingdom on earth, however attractive the kingdom and physical life in some respect may be. It should come as no surprise, then, that in various incarnations the spiritual leader and prince of earth, Sananda, has encouraged man to detach himself from thinking only in terms of mortal, physical existence. Instead, man should draw his thoughts back toward his true spiritual nature, the I himself. In his dialogue, Phaedo, Plato records what Sananda, in his incarnation as Socrates, considered mankind's greatest evil. "What is this worst of all evil, Socrates?" asked Thebes. "That the soul of every man is compelled, through experiencing some extreme pleasure or pain, to imagine that whatever most strongly arouses such feeling is most vivid and real, although of course it is not, and these things are chiefly the things that can be seen." Sananda's Socrates is saying that simply because the bulk of our experiences and sensations are physical, we should not assign so great a significance to them, that we identify ourselves with physical existence more than with our higher spiritual nature. That would be the worst thing we could do. As Jesus, Sananda rephrased this idea in the form of a question. For how would a man be benefited if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his own soul? In his incarnation as Gautama Buddha, Sananda was not about to let man lose his soul. In that magnificent life he explained over and over again, in variations on the single theme, four noble truths that would lead mankind into enlightenment and help him cross over to the other shore of spiritual existence. There are the four truths in simplified form. 1. Life is transient. Our physical, mortal life is ever-changing and impermanent. 2. The source of all our suffering is attachment to and craving for sensual, physical desires and existence. In short, selfish desire. 3. There is a state of being in which we are released from physical attachment. This state can be achieved in this life. 4. The way that brings us out of selfish desire and into the truth is an eightfold path called the middle way. In Sananda Gautama's second noble truth, the word tanha is used to indicate selfish desire or craving. Tanha literally means thirst. Jesus said when drinking water at a well, "Everyone who drinks of this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water which I give him shall never thirst. But the same water which I give him shall become in him a well of water springing up to life everlasting." In both incarnations, as Jesus and as Gautama Buddha, Sananda taught that man's true Christ being, wherein he lives selflessly for spirit, is his only permanent satisfaction. We have millions of years of physical existence as proof of that. One of the words for the third noble truth, the truth of hope, is tanhakaya, extinction of thirst. On the cross, Jesus said, "I thirst." Most certainly he was physically thirsty, yet he did not drink what was offered to him, for he thirsted more for spirit. In other words, he desired spirit, and as I himself more than physical existence, or even the quenching of physical thirst. He knew the law of attraction and repulsion well, for had his attention, his thoughts and desires been more for the physical, he would have repelled and prevented his demonstration of spiritual resurrection from physical existence. When Christ Jesus spoke the words, "My kingdom is not of this world," he was not talking merely of himself. He was talking about each and every one who takes up physical incarnation on earth. Our kingdom is not of this world. In the book of Genesis, man's placement in the world is described this way. "And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put a man whom he had formed." Bible authority Dr. George Lomsa, in his book Old Testament Light, reveals that the term Eden is derived from Eden, which means a moment or a season. In other words, Eden denotes a temporary period of time, inferring that spiritual man's physical stay on earth is transient. The implication of our transitory sojourn here is apparent in Jesus' remark to a man who said, "O my teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus said to him, "The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have a resting place, but the Son of Man has nowhere even to lay his head." These words, spoken as he was trying to withdraw from a large crowd, were more than an expression of tiredness or itinerancy. Jesus, the Son of Man, demonstrating Christ's consciousness while in a physical form, speaks of man's inability to reside, that is, to rest his spiritual being permanently, eternally in a physical form on earth. The birds and the animals, yes, this is their home world, but no person, no Son of Man will find a place here to lay his head. It is impossible. Mankind's period of inquiry, his physical evolvement on earth in Eden, is temporary. Jesus said, "I, when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw every man to me." He was referring to the divine principle of attraction and repulsion within every Son of God that enables us to draw others up with us into higher life, light, and love expression. This is a universal truth and an inevitable manifestation of divine law. Of that Jesus had no doubt, and neither should we. Our kingdom is not of this world. We, when we are lifted up, will lift all others with us. May we all realize this truth now, today, in remembrance of the Christ beings that we are.